more valid to have questions, and I absolutely agree with many of the concerns that have been brought up tonight. I do believe that the application meets the following criteria, and the information that was provided to us by Restart on their letter from the 11th of this month very much aligns with supports my answer to that and my views. Again, this application is not perfect, but I strongly believe that the moment to address
threatening and intolerant emails that we all received. You know, the assumption that the unhoused are all crime-riddled addicts engaged in human trafficking was appalling. Somehow they're all part of gangs or cartels, and the vitriol that was coming from my fellow Johnson Countyans made my stomach hurt. I was disappointed. You know, I'm a bankruptcy and consumer protection attorney, and I've been doing this for 20 years. My job is to help people, to try to save them from foreclosure and eviction, keep their cars, and with as many successes that I had came just as many failures. And I had many clients that would openly contemplate suicide sitting right in front of me at my desk. And that has happened more times than I can count in my office over the last 20 years. You know, in many instances, that change to my clients happened within months. Illness, divorce, loss of job, loss of their business, family-owned businesses, their livelihood. They've had domestic violence, unsafe living conditions. It can happen to any of us. Your neighbor down the street, a family member, a fellow parishioner, me, you, anyone. I've been seeing it for decades. And with as many vote no emails that we got, came just as many emails from supporters. And that really warmed my heart and renewed my confidence in our community. more full-time basis. I didn't get a feel tonight that the plan satisfied what we needed to make this successful, and I didn't feel like it met the criteria. I want the county to really slow it down and maybe open it back up to more, a new RFPs for more owner-operators. Let's expand it. Let's really give it a little bit more time. We do have some time. And we're not failures here. And I'm not giving up either. This is a possibility. It can be done right, and I know it will be. And I'm not giving up. And I don't want anybody in this room to give up either. But I don't think this proposes that. And I will not be voting to approve it.
Bill?
Yeah, I think everyone here and everyone in the county realizes the need for more services for the homeless. And Stephanie, you and your coworkers, I think you provide valuable services. Thank you. However, I think this shelter is not in keeping with the neighborhood where it's proposed. We've got Rose Hill School, we've got Westridge Middle School, we got the three parks, Trafalgar and John McNerney and Flat Rock Creek in close proximity. We've got single-family homes north and south. We've got Sam's and Costco and the Mint and it, all of that, what I consider the immediate neighborhood, and it's not in keeping with the neighborhood. Additionally, our planning commission recommended to us to deny. Our professional staff recommended that we deny. And those are very important recommendations, I think. The staff and the planning commission, especially the staff, they have the time and the resources to dig into applications and plan reviews and ask questions and massage and really ferret out how things are going to work. And so those are two very important points to me, the character of the neighborhood and the planning commission and the planning staff.
Mark?
I want to thank everybody that showed today, and just the Good Faith Network and all the religious organizations and churches that do so much for the community and see the need and are doing so much. I'm just astonished by even the caseworkers and what you're doing across city lines, and it's just astounding. I appreciate all our council's input and the compassion and sincerity and some of what some people do every day. Chester is an inspiration to us all by his coming out of homelessness, showing that it works. The big issue I have is, does this fit in the character of this neighborhood? We have people in our city that we have to pay attention to, and we want to see that intersection thrive. And I'm just concerned about the impacts economically, and who knows? I don't think any of us have any of the answers. But so at this point, I can't support the SUP.
Courtney?
or rejection by our team, but rather a chance to learn from this process how all the relevant stakeholders in Johnson County can work together to find a countywide solution to the problem of homelessness that works for everyone. We believe that Johnson County is the correct convener to lead the process, and we are certainly appreciative of all the time and effort to this point. They have shown that how it is possible to gather cities to develop a framework of financial support for ongoing operations of a facility that serves our entire community, which is an important piece of the puzzle. With their leadership, we believe it is also possible to find a comprehensive solution to this complicated problem and a property or properties that fits the need, but is also equitable to the goals, economics, and ability for all cities in Johnson County to deliver services to support it. We believe that partnering with a nonprofit organization such as Restart under the right circumstances can allow a facility like this to truly make an impact in the lives of those who receive their services. We value their expertise and have learned valuable information from them and UCS regarding the continuum of care to address this problem. While adaptive reuse may be a cost-effective way to stand up services without the burden of upfront capital that would be required to build from the ground up, in this instance, the location was inappropriate for all the reasons that we have discussed tonight. Our hope is that other cities in the county will adopt codes to accommodate homeless shelters similar to ours, so that more options for appropriate properties become available for consideration. Hold this just a second. And finally, this process has shown that more robust dialogue with all cities in Johnson County, combined with ongoing dialogue with the public, the business community, and faith leaders is crucial prior to the final location selection. Understanding that the operations and challenges of delivering services to the unhoused is complex and often emotionally charged. We better understand the engagement needed with the various stakeholders and factors associated with site selection. While this location is ultimately not right for Lenexa, our experience is valuable to informing the process going forward, and we welcome the opportunity to share what we have learned over the past 5 years and apply that knowledge as a participant in a county-wide collaborative approach to finding appropriate solutions. Until then, we will be at the table anytime a discussion is taking place about a broader county-wide solution. With that, I will entertain a motion to adopt the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial and deny the special use permit for a homeless shelter as Johnson County Restart.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Craig. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Motion carries. The application is denied. Second, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the Planning Commission recommendation of denial of preliminary plan and plat for Johnson County Restart. Motion by Chelsea, second by Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Preliminary plat and plan is denied.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, you too.
We will take a 5-minute recess to allow the room to prepare.
Five-minute complaints.
Thank you, Eileen.
You got one you want to share?
No, you just click on recording for the record.
Oh,
So you still in session?
you're good.
Got it? Anytime today's fine. Thanks.
So do they normally cut the mics for public comments at these meetings?
I have no clue.
She said something about the recorded session.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Huh. You don't usually come to these? Huh. Can't imagine why.
That, I'm listening to me.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yes, yes.
That's not all.
Stephanie, Billy Crone, we spoke before.
Yeah.
Do you think it helped or hurt to mention the HUD, the lawsuit threat, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, we weren't threatening anyone. We were raising a concern that there were some red flags, that there may be some potential violations here. And I think it's important as advocates of this work that we have to call out those things, and we have to take pause in our community and say, is this what's happening, right? And look into it further to determine if that is in fact what's happening.
Well, I hope people voluntarily give to support your organization.
Thank you.
You have a donation page.
Yes.
It's your restart.org, right?
RestartINC.org.
RestartINC.org, so folks can go there, click donate, and support it voluntarily rather than tax funding, as the county and Mike have, been trying to push. So.
Yes. It's important to have funding from all those sources, right? This is a community problem, and it needs a community solution, which takes the entire community wrapping its arms around that, and that includes funding from all those sources. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You get some sleep. It's
Thank
late.
you. Yeah, you too.
And the dog.
All right, 1:32 a.m. 33 a.m. That was Lenexa City Council meeting for Wednesday, September 18th, 2024.